Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. Premier League predictions is back there. What are you drinking?
This is my yerba mate, Dad.
Do you know what? I have had hundreds of DMs. You've had thousands saying, where is Premier League predictions?
Everybody's asking why we stop. If this video gets 10,000 likes, we will maintain the series.
But there's somebody there who's got a friend who doesn't know about the second channel. What should they do?
Subscribe, you mugs. In fact, I'm going to drink this mate, and within 3 seconds of drinking it, if you haven't subscribed, you're a mug!
And the first game is... Oh, Theo, I thought I'd never say that again.
What?
And the first game
Go
is
on, say it.
West Ham against Chelsea, Theo. 14th against 8th. This is a tasty London derby.
Now, I love when you say that. It's brilliant. I understand the pain of Americans.
Yes.
This is an 8:30 kickoff for the Argentinians here.
Yes.
We're going to be waking up to Premier League football. It's incredible. Now, never back the early kickoff, but on this one, I struggled to call it because West Ham have started poor.
Yes.
1 win in 4. They've spent 155 million euros. In fact, one publisher has said it's a rally car being driven by a pensioner. And of course, that's to do with Julian Lopetegui. Do you think that comments are correct?
I think it's a little bit harsh, Theo, but the start to the season, and let's go back to last season, because West Ham have got 3 wins in 15 games, Theo. That is actually relegation form.
Yeah.
Now, we know that West Ham should be nowhere near that. They should be trying to get one of those lower European places. But Chelsea, very hard to call.
The ones that are working is the Chelsea squad.
Yes.
A lot of their players that have been signing for the last few years on these big contracts are starting to connect, aren't they, Dad?
They
the
are,
likes of
Theo.
Nkunku, who had a long-term injury last year, never really got going. He's now got 2 goals. He's playing well in the Premier League. Cole Palmer, I don't need to speak about him. He's brilliant. Madueke's on fire too. This could be the beginning of a great season for Chelsea. And you called this in Prem predictions. You said this.
I did, Theo. 4 away wins in a row. They're looking really good.
Yeah.
But because this is a London derby, I think it's got 1-1 written all over it. I'm going for the
I don't. The last time they played was at the Bridge. Do you know the score, Dad? Guess the score. Just guess it.
2-1.
Chelsea fans will know.
Chelsea?
Incorrect. It was 5-0. And Nico Jackson got 3 contributions, 2 goals, 1 assist.
Wow.
I think he'll be the difference here.
Right.
He's going to score an 86th minute winner. 2-1 Chelsea. Limbs at the Bridge. And maybe the tennis player Tiafoe will be in the away end after wearing the shirt in a training match. We're talking about a local rivalry here that's building from how many times they face off in the Premier League. Aston Villa and Wolves. Let's talk about Villa. I mean, they travelled to Young Boys and won 3-0.
Yes, it's 5th against 18th here, isn't it? Villa against Wolves. And it's a local derby. So most people would look at this and think,
18th.
Nailed on for
Wolves
Villa.
are 18th.
They are 18th,
Jeez,
Theo. What is that all about? Now, you've said they might be in the relegation tussle this year.
I think if you look at the stats, they're on 1 point. And they've had the worst start since they got promoted to the top flight in 2018. Wolves have potential, but that squad needs to connect.
Now look at Villa. They've had a busy week, Theo, but they went and beat Young Boys, didn't they? 3-0 comfortably. Last weekend, they went 2-0 down to Everton. They won 3-2. So Villa are on great form. They're sitting 5th in the league. And to be quite honest, they win this one. They win this one comfortably 2-1.
I mean, let's talk about a few players.
Talk about Tielemans first.
Tielemans, excellent. Amadou Onana, who's come in, scored against Young Boys, brilliant. Another man who scored against Young Boys who's been surprising, quietly very good every week is Jacob Ramsey.
Yes.
And then off the bench, I think they've got the best super sub in the Premier League currently.
Duran.
So good they named him twice.
Yes.
Well, they named the film twice. Duran will probably score the winner in the 2-1 win that I predicted.
Fulham versus Newcastle United, now 12th against 3rd there. What a long trip south for the Geordie boys, but they will come in numbers. Now, talk to me about Fulham, Theo. A sort of indifferent start to the season.
It's difficult for them. They just lost in the EFL Cup to Preston North End. And it was quite a crazy game because a 1-1 went straight to penalties, and you know how it goes. Everyone takes a pen. And when I say everyone, I mean the full squad. And everybody scored.
Amazing.
From both teams. In fact, the score ended 16-15. And they lost. They got knocked out by PNE. So Fulham are looking to bounce back at the Cottage, and they love playing at the Cottage. They're now unbeaten in 3. They look good at home, don't they? And it seems to be Raul Jimenez scoring early goals. He's now replaced Rodrigo Nunez.
Which is good to see, Theo. So what you're saying, Fulham are out of the League Cup, and Bolton Wanderers are still there, Theo. Arsenal coming up. Newcastle's record against Fulham, last 8 games, won 6 and drawn 2. They will be the favourites here.
The Magpies are one of 5 teams unbeaten this season. They've only got 1 clean sheet in 18 away games, though.
Yes, they
That's
do.
their worry. Historically, for some reason, they seem to always win at Fulham away. When they come down to the capital, they come away with 3 points.
I think, Theo, Fulham are becoming the draw specialist. Last 3 games, it's been 1-1 after 90 minutes. Forget penalties for a moment. Newcastle, I think are just that little bit stronger. I think it might be 1-1 till quite late, but Newcastle grab a winner. Fulham 1, Newcastle 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a similar result, 1-0. Harvey Barnes.
Leicester City against Everton is
Wow. Here we
15th
go.
against 20th. This is a massive relegation struggle, isn't it?
It is.
These are two teams who have not won this season. Talk to me about Leicester City.
They've got some glimpses of quality, but 2 of the 6 who haven't won a Premier League match, so that's why it's massive. Vardy though,
Yes.
Jamie Vardy, 2 goals so far this season. Age is just a number for him. He keeps finding a way.
And I love what a shithouse he is, Theo. And I mean that in a good way, because on the field, sometimes you've got to wind up the opposing fans, wind up the opposing players. He is evergreen, Theo. He is an example to the likes of me. Just keep playing and keep enjoying it.
Well, the funny thing is, the last time they played Everton, he scored.
Yes.
And it was actually at home too. And funnily enough, I was at that game.
Recent history, I think that Everton have got the better of this fixture. But let's look at their season on and off the pitch, Theo. On the pitch, 4 defeats from 4 games.
Not good.
13 goals conceded. And in the background, you've got an investor tussle, haven't you?
They've got added problems to their club that other clubs don't have to deal with, and that doesn't help, you know? In the now, I'm worried. Now, the one little, I'd say, positive in the rough is Calvert-Lewin.
Yes.
He's got 2 goals and 1 assist in the last 2 games. And if they're going to come away from the Foxes with any kind of result, I think having a man on form is important, and he could be the way.
Very difficult to call, but I'm going to sit on the fence and say Leicester 2, Everton 2.
And I'm going to shake your hand because I've gone for the exact same result. And what makes it even crazy, the last time they played was a 2-2.
Yeah.
I was there. So maybe we're going to create this juju and it's just going to happen.
Liverpool against AFC Bournemouth is 4th against
Yes.
11th. This is 2 teams who lost at home last weekend. I'll repeat that. Liverpool lost at home to Nottingham Forest. Liverpool fans, oh, by the way, you met about 20 Liverpool fans on the flight to Buenos Aires, didn't you?
There's so many Scousers at the Boca River game.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I love it. We spent the whole time on the flight chatting. They know who they are. I'm sure they're watching. We'll go for a few beers with them after.
Yes.
But I don't think the cop will be needed to be in full voice because beating the Cherries at home, it should be a bit of a walkover, especially after they need to bounce back off that poor Forest 1-0 loss.
But let's talk about the Milan game, because that was comfortable midweek. That is a statement of intent.
It started worryingly.
Yeah,
3
it
minutes
did,
in, you went a goal down to Pulisic, who always seems to score against the Scousers, and then a reaction came. And it wasn't from the forwards that you'd imagine, it was actually the centre-backs, wasn't it?
It was.
2 corner goals, and then Dominic Szoboszlai to end what is a great result at San Siro. Limsy match, fearless, said the AC Milan Ultras. Well, not so fearless from the Liverpool players, I must admit. After that 90 minutes, they will come in confident to Anfield, and I think they will win on a 2-goal aggregate. 2-0 is my prediction.
Do you know what, Theo? The last time Bournemouth went up to Liverpool against Everton, they went 2-0 down and they won 3-2. This won't happen here. This will be Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 0. Southampton against Ipswich Town is 19th against 17th, Theo, and these are 2 teams who've scored 3 goals between them all season. So starting with Southampton, they've scored the 1 solitary goal. They've got no points, and last season they lost twice to Ipswich.
That's why it's hard to call this game. 2 championship teams. A little stat for you before we get into the facts.
Yeah.
When newly promoted teams play in the Premier League, the home team has only won once from the last 6 fixtures.
Wow.
So clearly, pressure runs through. I do think that Ipswich will come here confident, knowing they beat them 1-0 last year in the Championship, and it was Amari Hutchinson who scored that goal, and he's now signed on a permanent for the club, so will he arrive for that away day confident?
That's a very good point, Theo. Now, look at Ipswich this season. I know they've lost 2, but they've drawn 2. And you know what? Going to Brighton and drawing 0-0, that's a good result.
Especially after Brighton just got to draw Arsenal.
Yes.
So Ipswich are showing that they can scrape enough points together. But what are the Saints doing? It's looking worrying when your centre-back, the Japanese centre-back, is your top goal scorer.
Yeah.
You need to ask more of Adam Armstrong. They brought in the Chilean.
Ben Brereton Diaz. Hasn't
Don't
he just
forget the
broken
Diaz.
a record for the number of games that he's lost in a row or something like that? Southampton 1, Ipswich 1. I'm sitting on the fence here.
Southampton 0, Ipswich 1.
Big
Liam
shout.
Delap to score.
Tottenham Hotspur against Brentford now is 13th against 9th. It's the second London derby of the weekend. Now, these are 2 teams who lost last weekend, but I know it's a hard one to call this.
It is a tough one to call because Ange is in freefall.
Yes.
And I thought when Coventry were 1-0 up in the EFL Cup that we were going to see a lot of questions about the safety of his job.
Ooh.
Now, I want to word carefully there.
Yeah.
But after being at the North London derby and seeing Arsenal not even look good, but get the job done.
Yeah.
You know, that's what really annoyed me and should annoy the Tottenham players.
Yes.
Is that Arsenal weren't good that game. There was no red cards or like foul play or real anger from Spurs. I mean, you're losing the North London derby at home.
Yes.
At least go down swinging. If I was the manager, maybe this is why I'm not Premier League manager, but I would lose my... And that's why I think opportunity is here for Brentford.
Wow.
And they did it the last time they went to the new Tottenham Stadium. They actually lost, but the time before that, they won 2-1. Now, that Wissa out for 2 months is a big hit, isn't it, Thogden?
It is there. Now with Spurs, they've got 7 games in 22 days, so the fixtures are coming thick and fast. What worries me about Brentford, they're a good team there. They've only lost to Liverpool and Man City this season.
I don't like this new James Maddison, and I don't know what Ange's done to him, but it seems like he's not playing as good this year. I like the directness.
Yeah.
When he used to get the ball with no worries, just smash it. Maybe now that he's got the big contract and the lavish lifestyle and the nice training ground, everything's good, he's got his family, he lives in London, maybe now he feels a bit too comfortable. I am worried for Tottenham. If Brentford come here with a lot of intent, they can come away with a win.
They can.
But I'm not going to say it. I'm going to go Spurs 2, Brentford 1. Brennan Johnson will be the difference this day, I believe that.
And I'm just going to say ditto, 2-1 to Spurs. Crystal Palace against Manchester United is 16th against 10th. Now, Crystal Palace, no wins this season. But look back to the end of last season. The last 7 games of last season, 1-6, drawn 1. What is going wrong?
Yeah, well, it's never going to be always perfect for Oliver Glasner.
No.
You know, and he sold his best player in Elise, and it's hard to ask for the same. And now you're playing Manchester United, who are arguably in the best form that I've seen of them since the Fergie days. Is that a big statement to make?
Well, Theo...
Because they are on the last 2 games...
10-0.
10-0.
Yes.
So,
I mean, Southampton and Barnsley.
But it's about confidence. What else are they meant to do?
Yes.
Score less goals. They're playing very good right now.
Yes.
And this is their first big challenge. Palace away, tough place to go, but they're better than them right now. And players like Garnacho, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford.
Yes.
Can I give you a little fact? The last time Crystal Palace lost to Manchester United at Selhurst Park was when Marcus Rashford made the difference.
Yes.
Since then, they've gone 4 games unbeaten,
That's
2 wins,
true.
2 draws, and last time was most memorable. Palace beat them 4-0.
They did.
So a lot of the Palace fans will be hoping for the same. But the last time United beat them, Marcus Rashford scored and they went on to win 2-1. So, Ten Hag, if you do not play Marcus, I think you've lost it. This has been the best style of play that we've seen of Manchester United in a very long time. And I know there's loads of United fans that watch this channel. And I'm actually, as a Bolton fan, I don't really like United. People know that. I'm quite worried because they look pretty good.
Yeah.
They actually look pretty good.
But Theo, the fly in the ointment, it's London, it's the capital. Now, the last 16 games that United have played in London, won 2, drawn 4, and lost 10. And those wins, who are they against? One team.
It's going to be West Ham.
Fulham.
Oh.
So that's their record. So they have a jinx. And this used to happen to Bolton Wanderers. There were several years when Bolton didn't win in London. And for that reason, Theo, and I know it's really weird, it's going to be Palace 1, United 1. It's going to be a draw.
I think the Red Devils will find a way.
Yes.
This has been Palace's worst start since Frank de Boer 17-18 season. And Palace fans will hate me for saying that because they will be a lot better off this season, don't worry. But right now, the Red Devils will fire. And I think that winning goal will be Bruno Fernandes, who got 2 assists at the end of the Barnsley game. He's looking brilliant. Bruno will make the difference. Big away win for the United fans.
Brighton and Hove Albion against Nottingham Forest is 6th against 7th. These are 2 teams who've made a brilliant start to the season. They are both unbeaten, Theo. And if Brighton win or draw the next game, that's 5 games at the start of the season unbeaten. That's the first time they've ever done that.
It's incredible. It's just a shame that they drew that 0-0 at home to Ipswich.
Yes.
But they came up against the Tractor Boys and they were fighting. They knew every point in the Premier League counts. That's what the new German manager is going to have to deal with. Every week is difficult. You can win the big ones and draw against Arsenal, but you play Ipswich the week after. It's not going to be easy.
Yes.
And this is the same. Forest have just beaten Liverpool away.
I know.
That shows you this league. It's unpredictable to the biggest statement. And at the North London derby the next day, I was sat next to Anthony Elanga, show the clip, and I asked him, mate, if you score at Brighton away, do you mind bringing back the goggles celebration? We all know it.
Oh, yeah.
The goggles celebration.
Yes.
He's going to do it. Anthony Elanga, I asked you, please, if you score in this game, bring back the goggles. Come on, we all love the goggles celebration.
Do you know what, Theo? Forest fans in 20, 30, 40 years will be talking about that result. I can remember being at Anfield with Bolton beating Liverpool. I've been to Old Trafford twice when Bolton have beaten Man United. I'm still talking about that 30 years later. So both of these teams, Theo, they've both conceded 2 goals each in 4 games. Tight defensively. You know, that is the key to staying up.
It's going to be a Matoma masterclass. Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Sorry, Anthony, but prove me wrong.
Brighton 1, 1, Nottingham Forest 0. And that concludes Premier League
That's it, guys.
predictions, because
Bye.
that's all the teams, isn't it, Theo?
Oh, no. I think I'll just see the
have we
list.
forgotten one?
Manchester City Football Club are facing Arsenal on Sunday.
I mean, it doesn't
clash.
It's not really much of a
really
game.
Well,
Let's
what's
talk
that
about
in
it
the Premier
anyway.
League? Second. Maybe we should give
Right, Theo. Do you know what?
Okay, we'll bring it
This is the game of the weekend. Manchester City have got a 100% record, but midweek, Theo, 0-0. So it is possible to stop Man City scoring.
You could say the same for Arsenal, because they travelled to Bergamo and it was David Raya in the end. They would have lost.
Oh, yes.
Double save, incredible. If you didn't see that, penalty save was good. That reaction after, and as I said, we're constantly getting in this repetition. David Raya saves the day. That is what Arteta's seen in the man. If Arteta is going to beat Guardiola for the first time ever at Etihad, it's going to be down to many David Raya saves. It might be a scrappy header from Saliba or something, and they come away with it, and finally they go top of the league. Someone stops City. Will it happen? It's very unlikely. I'd give it about a 10% chance. But you don't write them off. If they can find a possibility of stopping Haaland, that game is very open. And the further that game goes on 0-0, the more worried City will be.
That is true, but the dominance from Erling Haaland this season has been astonishing. He's got 9 goals already, Theo.
I know, it's crazy.
The nearest to that is 3 goals. And I love midweek. Did you see at the end of the game? He went up to that defender. It was that. I mean, that was brilliant.
Well, Kirby's like this old defender, doesn't have much pace. He's the last player you'd expect to be able to pocket Haaland, but he did it because he's got experience.
Yeah.
And football is more than just pace and strength.
It is.
I'm so sure that this game will have under 2 goals that I'm willing to lump.
Not all of that.
Yeah, all of that, guys.
Wow.
All of this. I've slapped it on the table. I'm saying under 2 goals in this game. In fact, I think City will find a goal. It won't be Haaland. It'll be like Gundogan or something. 1-0 win.
And I agree with you, Theo. I'm going to put my Argentinian
Hey, that's the money I just put in. You've got to take my money.
Man City to win 1-0. Can I say, Theo, how brilliant it is to get this series back. Premier League
It's great to be back. Do you know what? We're talking through all these games, we're all these facts. I don't know why we stopped. So I hope we hit 10,000 likes so we can see you next week. Enjoy the Prem and watch out for the main channel. Just a small game, though.
Yeah.
A small game on the channel. If you know, the Super Classico. See you next week. 10k likes. Bye-bye.